Good morning. Today is the 6th of December 2024 and I'm going to go through today's plan and watch list. Before we start, let's check to see what news could move the market later. We've had big 8:30 highly volatile news come in and we saw a massive reaction to that big green up candle, and we're currently at the upper end of that candle right now. We do have some Fed speakers today, so it will be a bit of a strange, funny day to keep an eye on that. And we do have consumer sentiment at 10, and that's a 3 out of 3 on the scale of volatility, so just be wary if you're in a trade and it's coming up to 10 o'clock. Okay, so on my screen we are looking at the ES, and this is the S&P 500 E-mini futures, and we're currently on the, start with a daily and then we can work backwards. You can see yesterday we had a pretty dull inside day, very hard to trade when it's like this. We had below average volume, but we have starting to see increase in volume now on this push up. So even though we were looking at decrease in volume originally, we're kind of just settling in. We are below the average volume as well, so it's still quite low volume, but this is a really small volume candle. If you look at the size of the candle yesterday, compare it to the size of the candle the day before, it's half the size but the same amount of volume. So a little bit of an anomaly there. We are getting close to the overbought area on the RSI, which I don't spend too much attention to, but I just like, it's interesting to see where RSI is and where we could be looking for potential reversal. We are, as we said yesterday, we are pretty far from the 8 moving average and from the 20 and the 50, and pretty far away from the 200. But we have moved away from the 8 before we sprung back a few times. So we're not that far away when you look at previous times when we pushed up. But then these previous times we had big moving days. Notice the big moving days. But here we've got small, narrow range days. And so we usually hug, on those small narrow range days you normally see we hug the 8 moving average. So nothing really exciting going on daily. Inside candle again today, another inside day. And I find them really difficult to trade. Yesterday I took 2 trades. It was the break and retest of the pre-market high, which started off okay and then stopped me out. Where were we? About here, I think. And then I took the break and retest of pre-market low, which also stopped me out. So not a very good day, but you know, it's part of my strategy. So I think this was the pre-market high, 9:30. Pre-market high was about there, if I remember rightly. So originally it came down, pushed in. I got an entry on the 5 minute about there. I think it was a good entry. My stop was there, that area, and I gave for 3R and it couldn't quite get. I think my 3R was probably about here, near to well, we had to get over 61.10, I think it was, that area. I'll go for a 3R and a 5R target where I take 50% off of each. And it started off pretty well. I was up, I think I had a bit of a wider stop than that actually. I think my stop was down here, it was a bit lower. So my risk to reward, so that would have been, I've got a risk to reward tool, I might as well use that. So I think my entry, it was about there, and my stop was about there, and to get 3R I needed to get up here, so it would have got close to it eventually. And anyway, it got up to about 1.5, 2R I think, and then it came down and stopped me out there. And so I saw it come down and take out the pre-market low, so I got a short entry there, and you can see the rest is history. Frustrating day. It's really hard to trade these days when they go up. Take out the high, take out the low, take out the high, take out the low again. It's almost untradeable. So after that one I just walked away. Best not to trade it. So here we are again today. I'll still stick with my break and retest of pre-market high. Let's go back into the hourly. Good morning, Charles. Hope you had a good day yesterday. Any more comments? No, that's the only comment. So I'm trying my best to keep an eye on comments, because I normally don't look at the comments at all until after the stream. So if you do leave a message, then I normally get back to you. I don't look at the comments. Even on the live stream on the order flow, sometimes I can be away for an hour before I even realise there's comments there. So we're looking at the hourly, and there's one pattern that does stand out a little bit. It's this potential head and shoulders pattern. We haven't put in the right shoulder yet, so maybe we can look for something like that with the neckline around this region here. But there's no real hard to find decent levels when we're up at all-time high area, and I don't like shorting all-time highs. And had you tried shorting all-time high yesterday, look what happened. You would have been, maybe you would have done it, but you would have been stopped out again. So very difficult. So what I'm looking for today is same as yesterday, break and retest of pre-market highs. 6100 is that key number as well. We held it up there, kind of had a little bit of area of confidence there, came back, retested it yesterday before selling off. We've got the point of control just a little bit below that, and can act as natural support. So I'm looking for a break and retest of 6100 into yesterday's high, and then I really want to see a break and retest out of that area as well. If we see a big push up and we take out pre-market high and pre-market low without coming back, then I'll be potentially looking for a pullback into that region to continue along, or at least try and scalp it and try and make it. I want to try and scalp a bit more as well. Goes against my trading, but I've had so many trades this week where I've been in the green, didn't take anything, and it stopped me out. So I need to get a bit more stricter. When we've got markets like this, we need to make a slight adaptation. Need to adapt the strategy a little bit. That's a tough day there. We literally whipped out the highs, lows, and then went sideways. Took out the high, took out the low, took out the high, took out the low, and then went sideways. So it's a really tough market to trade. So bounce area, not really looking for any shorts really, unless we can set up this head and shoulders pattern. But I'm really looking for the next bounce will be this volume shelf, and that's around at 60, 65. We've got tops of these pivots here over multiple days as well, so there's a little bit of area. We've got volume below. So if we come back down to this region, I'll be looking for a bounce. And then we've got this pre-market low, yesterday's low area. I don't know, I'm not sure what to do about this. On SPY, which I'll get to in a minute, I've marked it off as a potential bounce area. So potentially we can watch it for a bounce. And if we lose it, again, I don't really want to go short because I think the next bounce is not too far away. Yeah, I'll stick with my plan. If we do lose it, higher risk, so that'd be the scalp I'll be looking for, break and retest short, and then because that's against the trend, and this will be a full trade, I'll look for break and retest long into yesterday's high, maybe look to take some profit there if I can, and then I really want to put in a new high. But if you notice, we're putting in new highs here and then coming back, putting in a new high, coming back, putting in a new high, coming back, a new high, coming back, a new high. You get the general idea, coming back, new high, pulling back. So we're not actually putting in new highs and then putting in higher highs, higher lows. So maybe bear that in mind if we get over yesterday's high. So we're putting a new high, maybe look to take some profits if we break the trend. So for example, if we're up on a 5 minute and we're breaking the trend, maybe that would be our time to take profit. So that's where I meant I really want to try and get into trend and try and find a scalp. Probably watch for the break of trend. I know this is the hourly, but on the 5 minute. That's it really. Let's have a look at the order flow while we're on ES. Also got my news indicator. I'll leave that open just to remind us what high news we've got. We've got news 8:30, 10 o'clock, and medium news. So 10 o'clock is the next area to watch for. So order flow, cumulative delta. It's not doing great deals, doing exactly as a price action, so it all looks normal there. There's been a new update today on, well, only if you're a developer. It's an early access update to NINJATRADER, and I think they've got some new charts. Open a new window, and there's 2 new charts which I'm going to play around with, and if they add value, then I might add it in. One of them is a cumulative delta. So you go, so we've got delta and price and volume. That might be ticks per level, that's fine. Bar width, I had a quick look at it earlier. I'll show you what it looks like. You can see it shows you where the volume is. I haven't quite worked out how it, oh, I don't want to print that, do I? And there's another cumulative delta one I noticed as well. Don't load indicators, sorry about this. Data series. Ticks per level, 1 tick. Bar strength. I think I had it set up. Minute. Okay, so we go 5 minute ticks per level. Let's try that. Does that make a difference? You can see where the volume is in each candlestick. That's a 5 minute chart. So it probably doesn't really give away more than what we see already. We've got volume about there. You see volume's about there. But maybe it's another way of looking at the volume, and maybe I can add it into the 30-minute chart just so you can see where the volume is. At the moment I only filter large orders on that 30-minute chart. And then the other one, which I don't know anything about because I've not looked at it yet, is I think it was delta. Was it delta? I think it might have been that one. Let's have a look. I'm not sure if that's any different to the one we've already got, but I'll take a look, and if they add value to what we're seeing, then maybe I can add it in, or maybe on a different stream or something. There's nothing really going on. We can see 2 aligned point of controls on this 30-minute, just there. So potentially that could be a break and retest area, and where's that happen to be? That is around 60.95. This area here, you can see there's some orders sitting there as well, large orders as well. I may not have all my indicators set up because it asked me to recompile when it's a new version, a beta version. It said I have to recompile my custom indicators. So I've been recompiled the large orders one and the news one. Yeah, that's it. There's not really much more. There's nothing really exciting on the order flow right now. One thing you can see, cumulative delta is putting in a new high, whereas the price is not putting a new high at 6100. So whether that's significant, I don't know at the moment. Okay, let's go back to my main screen. Let's look at SPY next. SPY, I've added some extra levels in here. So we're watching the break and retest of yesterday's high. Again, you can keep an eye on pre-market high, but look for a break and retest long. And if we don't break through it and we hold that area, then look for rejection. Otherwise, I did add this area in, which is pre-market low, yesterday's low area for a potential bounce. And then the only other area is what we were watching yesterday. Got this volume shelf, area confluence a little bit, so tops of candles, but we've yet to come back to retest at 604. SPX are the same levels we've been watching. So we've got this area down here, 60.52, 60.53 area for a bounce. And again, I only use SPX as a guide. So if we're coming down, I'm looking for a long on ES, and then I'll see to make sure whether we are above these levels. So it looks like we're going to bounce on SPX as well as ES. And obviously we've got our 6100 we didn't quite get to yesterday, so keep an eye on that for a rejection. And if we do get to 6100 on here, then I'll be keeping an eye on ES, which I'm just flicking back to, for potential rejection up this area as well. So that's why I said I'm watching for rejection, and only if it lines up with the SPX at 6100 as well. Okay, NQ next. Same break and retest of yesterday's high, or watch it for rejection. And we've got this area confluence, volumes just a bare there. So if we watch for a bounce at pre-market low, if we do lose that pre-market low, I do quite like the break and retest short, and I like that because of this big void between 261 and 21,400, and look at the lack of volume in this area as well. Lack of volume in that area, so I do quite like break and retest of pre-market low, short as well. Okay, and then same play on QQQ, break and retest of yesterday high, you know, even though be a bit over break pre-market high, but into that area, long, watch for a bounce at pre-market low, yesterday low area, and then if we do lose that area, break and retest, we'll be through this 50 moving average into this void, and again there's a lack of volume in that area, so we may not have too much to hold us up as we break down here. Crude oil, oh, I do like this pattern. So we've broken this area of resistance, broken the trend line, and potentially have we put in a break and retest? Maybe not quite yet. If we come back up into this region, I quite like the retest short, and that'll be following this downtrend. If we can draw this line in here, look at that, almost on the dot as well. So just keep an eye. Oh, go back. So this area here is a key area, and that's 68, sorry. So we'll keep an eye on 68 for a retest. So let's just mark that off. And it's only because we've got a few days worth of pivots there, and we've got a few pivots over here as well. Notice lack of volume as well. We're coming into a volume shelf up here, so we may see a bit of resistance. We've also got the point of control running straight through the middle of this area, so we can watch this entire area for rejection. Big wide area, so not a big fan, but I do quite like this breakdown, and I like to see the retest. And that's oil. Gold. Is sold off, and then it's starting to curve around slightly, and look at this breakdown of that area, the backup and the retest, and then the breakdown. So if we can break down through this 26.43 area, I quite like the break and retest short into the next level. Otherwise we're still in this downtrend, even though we're going sideways. We can keep an eye on this area here for potential rejection. Yesterday's high, pre-market low, so watch that come into that region, reject. If we break through, look for the break and retest, and that'll be breaking out. And we can also watch these levels for a bounce as well. We've probably already bounced there today. RTY, which is the Russell 2000. Again, we can keep an eye on this trend line. Look at that, it's pretty much spot on. Watch for a rejection at yesterday's high, potentially pre-market high, no, off that trend line, and if we break it, we want to see a big breakout, a pullback to retest those areas long, and that will break the structure. Otherwise, just watch for a double bottom down here at 2400, and that's pretty much it really for that one. YM, again, like we talked about this yesterday, about all these futures are in a range, a kind of range band at the moment. So we want to see it break out of this area. So yesterday's high couldn't quite get out of that area, and then we held it again, and we couldn't break the lows from the previous few days as well. So not a big fan of this. There's no decent levels unless we can get down below, break and retest a pre-market low. Maybe the break and retest a pre-market high on this one into yesterday's high, or the breakout of that range, 45-200 area. And then Bitcoin. Oh wow, look at that. So I took profit on Bitcoin yesterday. Look at them, good out area there. And excuse me, my profit is purely based on volume, and like all the others, and whether I get in or out, I'm getting in, I'm getting out whenever I see volume come in. So sort of volume come in here, I start taking out. Lack of volume down here, so, and obviously part of the structure is watching, so I was adding all the pullbacks, and then see this volume come in here. That's why I took a couple of outs here, and then bigger volume came in yesterday, and that's why I took out Well, it did. Look at that, right at the very top of where we were. And again, that's just reading volume and price. Nothing more technical than that. And I got a decent outlook at that. It couldn't have got out in a better place. So what next? We've got this big indecision candle, and it's indecision. So let's see what the market wants to do. It can't sustain this big push up. We need a healthy pullback. So back down into this region. I'll be quite grateful if it gets back down to there. And then I'll be looking to find some more ads and to hopefully continue this trend up. Next target, 200,000. But let's see where we get. We're back below 100,000 right now, so we just need to do something. I'm not sure whether it's going to break back out again and continue up, but you know, you've got to take some profit, and you've got to hold on some of the profits so we can add them back in again later. And that's it. Quickly look at ES, see if anything changed. I don't think so. It looks like it's just going a bit sideways. Back to the hourly. So we talked about this head and shoulders pattern. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, question mark, who knows. Let's see what happens. If we pull back down, then I would quite like the breakdown, the pull back into that region. And that happens to be the break and retest of yesterday's low and pre-market low to continue it down. Then we have got this bounce point at 60 area potentially. We've got a lot of volume, big volume shelf there as well. So if we do lose a pre-market low, that should be around that area, would be a decent target. But let's see what happens. Okay, thank you for watching. Plenty of time before the market opens, so maybe update your plan for today. Look at your journal from yesterday, and hopefully have a good day and trade safe. Thank you for watching.